Hello everyone, welcome to a new chess video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to beat your opponents in a very decisive way with the famous King's Gambit, one of your favorite gambits. And I'm not surprised, it's a great gambit and very difficult to defend against. I'll show you how to win if they take the gambit pawn and if they don't. So this video is going to be spectacular and super comprehensive. Let's start by seeing what happens if instead of taking this pawn, right? They decide to defend it. A lot of people say, whoops, they're trying to trap me. I'll defend the pawn. That way, nothing happens at all. Well, don't worry, because as I said, I'll show you both ways to win, and besides, both ways are beautiful and spectacular. Let's go. How should we react if they defend the pawn? Very simple. We're simply gonna keep putting pressure on the e5 pawn with our pieces. Advantages of the King's Gambit, we're going to manage to attack in a forceful way down this column here. The file is going to be lethal because when we castle, the rook will be placed on this file, and the rook will directly attack the enemy king. You'll see, we're attacking this pawn with two pieces, so they have to defend it. Perfect! We'll continue developing our pieces in a super correct way. Knight f3, bishop c4. As you can see, it looks like an Italian opening, right? The only difference is this pawn here that goes from being on its starting square to being on f4. A radical change. We can see that here, our opponents could play, for example, this very annoying pin. It's one of the moves I encounter most in my games. And what are we going to do? Are we going to kick the bishop out? No? Are we going to try to cover up again with our already developed bishop? Now, are we gonna prevent the knight jump here to d4, so it puts a lot of pressure on the pin? Well, no, we're gonna castle. Quite simply, we're gonna castle. As you can see, our opponent is still way behind in development. He simply hasn't brought out either of the two pieces for castling, and, for example, here he might be very tempted to play knight d4, a move that obviously looks great. This knight is pinned by the bishop, I pressure it with the other knight, and now what does chess teacher do? Well, don't worry, because this is a pretty typical mistake. What are they doing? Advancing their pieces too far when they haven't even completed development yet. So here we already have a winning tactical blow, because this King's Gambit is amazing. Bishop takes f7, we're already going to win the game. Why is this move so good? Well, simply put, if they don't decide to capture this bishop, then we've won a free pawn. And besides, we'll capture here later, opening the line for the rook, it'll defend well, perfect. However, the only move here that seems to hold up is accepting this gambit. And why did we give away the bishop? Do we have any counterplay? Evidently, of course. We're gonna jump in to give check with this knight, so that this defenseless bishop will then be attacked by our queen. So check, and if the king moves away, we'll take the bishop. But here, friends, I'm going to tell you something that's happened to me in quite a few games, especially online. Many people think, well, if I'm going to take your queen and you're checking me, I'll give you my queen for the knight, right? And then when you capture it, well, I'll capture yours. However, when we capture their queen, we're giving check to the king and they have to resign immediately. We're giving check to the king, they must move away, and then we capture their bishop. So we win the queen and we also win the bishop. That's why, obviously, here, after this check with the knight, the tactical theme of queen for knight doesn't work. They absolutely must move the king, and how are we going to continue? Well, logically, we're going to capture this bishop. Recap. We have an extra pawn, the pawn we won on f7. But not only that, our opponent has lost the right to castle, which is huge, because their king is in the center and will stay there all game. And most importantly, we're now going to win quite decisively. A common thought for our opponents is, well, I lost a pawn, but I'll get it back here. And not only that, but I'll win your rook. Don't worry, whatever they do, we're much better off. But I'm going to show you how to win this because it's very simple. Many of you are thinking, well, we come in with the queen here, right? To give some check. But that wouldn't be a good move because they would simply block it. All right, here we're going to capture with the pawn. We're going to make this pawn exchange, but not with the idea of coming in with the queen, as many of you are thinking, but to open the file for the rook. And here, there will be 1001 tactics. A simple way to win that you'll see often: watch, rook takes bishop, exchange sacrifice, very simple, because now when they take the rook, we just come in with the knight. Knight e6, check, and I'll take the queen on the next move. All right, chess teacher. And what happens if they take the pawn when I play the king's gambit? Because logically, I find thousands of games where they take the pawn, and if I don't know how to continue, I'll lose the game. Don't worry, we're gonna play knight f3, because this is super nice. We play knight f3. What are we threatening? Well, if our opponent gets distracted now and plays a move that has nothing to do with the position, like, I'm just making this up, knight c6, we're gonna play d4, okay? We have the pawn center, we're threatening this pawn right here, and we're gonna end up with a fabulously good game for us. We have the center, our bishops develop perfectly, and our rook will have an open file. This is obvious, right? What's the correct move here for the black pieces if they know that they can't let us carry out such a comfortable plan? Because then we'd be completely in our element. So the correct move here is to defend this extra pawn they have. Yes, it looks like a risky move, but it's a correct move. Besides, it defends this point, it can come to threaten the other knight, and it seems like everything is held together. So, chess teacher, if they don't play this move here, I know, I play d4 and I'm doing great. But how do I do it if they play the good move? Since nowadays, many people already know what the good moves are. Well then, pay attention, okay? h4. We're gonna come and destroy our opponent's pawn structure. And you're gonna love this because watch how it continues. First of all, can they defend this pawn? Well, if they try to defend it with this pawn, they've lost on the spot, because after the exchanges, this rook is left undefended, and we'd simply capture it. That's why this pawn can't be defended with a 6. Yes, the grade? It can't be defended with c6 either, and now I'm going to explain to you why. Before that, I want to explain to you what the correct move for black is, because here, black only has one single correct move. The thing is, it's complicated to figure out. The correct move is this pawn advance, attacking our knight. If they play the correct one, what should you do? You should jump here with the knight, attacking this pawn they just threatened. Sorry, advanced. And besides, we have a fabulous position. We're going to play bishop c4, hitting this point. We're also going to play d4, threatening the other pawn that's no longer defended. And in conclusion, we have a very, very good position, right? This is what we're going to do if they advance the pawn, which is the correct move. However, I've come across very, very few games where they advance the pawn. If they do, you already know the continuation. Most see that a 6 isn't possible because of the exchanges, and try to defend the pawn with the move f6. Perhaps the most logical move in the position. How should we continue? Well, this is very important. A serious mistake for white, capturing with the pawn. Why? Because then black would recapture with their pawn, and their structure looks wonderfully good. The correct and winning move here? Pay attention to this because it'll fascinate you. Knight takes pawn. Sacrificing the knight? Chess teacher, are you going crazy? Yes, I'm always going crazy. You channel subscribers know that all too well. But here we have a winning continuation. In other words, we've already won the game here, and you should learn this like it's a song, or like it's a dance, because here you'll already be able to deliver checkmate. Is it easy? Is it fast? Well, it's neither easy nor fast, but if you memorize it, you'll win 100% because it's a guaranteed mate. First, we move in with the queen. That was the point of sacrificing the knight, since our opponent has pushed the kingside pawns too aggressively, leaving gaps for our queen to launch an attack. Possible moves here for black, they only have one, this one right here. First, what are we going to do? We're going to capture this pawn, right? We're going to capture this pawn. The king can go back, and here black will think, well, if they come here, we'll just keep doing the same thing and it'll be a draw. Careful, 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 because when they go back, yes, that's right, you must give this check again. But what for? To make the king advance, there's no other way. And now give this check on e5. It's important, right? You must learn this by heart. You can watch it as many times as you need. It's simpler than it looks, okay? It's quite simple. Where can this king go? As he can see, he only has one square, this one right here, nothing else. And now we bring in the bishop to c4. All we've done is give check, take the pawn, check, and come here and now bring in the other bishop to give check. The king only has one square again. It wouldn't help to advance to d4 because we capture the pawn. Sorry, to d5. So the king can only come here and mate is getting closer and closer. It's as simple as giving this check on 5 with the queen. The king can only go to one single square. What square does he have available here? Well, he can only move to the side, as you can see. Well, he could also go back, which seems more efficient, but we simply give this check with the queen, and now he must go to the side. So that's simple. Many of you will tell me, obviously, I should move in with this bishop. Yeah, but if we play d4 first, we're giving the king time to escape. So first we give this check, right? The king has to move. I give this check again, and when he returns, now yes, d3 or d4, both are checkmate. Obviously, they could block with the queen, but we'd capture anyway, delivering a brutal checkmate. If this variation seemed too long and too many moves to memorize, don't worry. I'm bringing you a great solution too that you're gonna love. Knight f3, and when they defend the pawn, instead of playing bishop c4, which is what we just saw, a great solution, I'm bringing you another great solution. Knight c3. Very good move. Yes, we allow this pawn push again, which seems quite dangerous, and now it seems even more so. Let me explain why. Since we don't have this pawn in front, they're threatening the knight. This knight has to jump forward. But now it looks like black is winning. How, chess teacher? Well, by moving in with the queen. They've dislodged our knight, and now they give us this check, and it seems mandatory to start moving the king toward the center and blocking our pieces, which looks horrible. Because if we play g3, which as you can see is the only move that seems to defend, they would capture here, and we can't recapture because we'd lose the rook. So, chess teacher, why do you recommend this variation if it looks like I'm totally lost? Ron, we are not lost. G3 is a winning move. Black thinks they're winning, but no, because now after pawn takes pawn, we aren't forced to recapture. Who? So here we're going to play a super strong move. What move is it? The following, queen takes pawn. This move is wonderful. Queen takes g4. What are we threatening? Taking a queen. That's obvious. So black has two valid options. First, it wouldn't be possible to take this pawn with a discovered check because they'd lose the queen. See? So the two options they have would be one, to trade queens, obviously, trade queens, and our position is fabulous. We have much better development, two knights out. We'll play d4, we'll play knight d5, threatening the fork. This position is fantastic. Black was attacking and they've achieved absolutely nothing. So here, trading queens doesn't seem like the best option for black. There's no doubt about that. However, here there's a move that's arguably the best for the black pieces, and you must know how to continue. Simple, don't worry. The move is as follows. g7, discovered check. Many of you will say, wait, chess teacher, he's hanging the queen. Yes, he's hanging the queen, and in fact, we must capture it. However, they're going to capture our rook and promote to a queen, meaning they'll have an extra queen. Watch how it continues. Queen takes queen, pawn takes rook, and they promote to a queen. And so here, black has an extra rook. However, sorry, we are winning. Why? Because that queen can't get out of there. So our pieces will perform very well, while our opponent's pieces won't be able to do anything at all. How should we continue? You have many solutions here. For example, queen h5 threatening mate would be a super good solution. However, I'm going to give you my favorite, because here there's an elegant way to finish that you're gonna love. The move is knight d5. We take advantage of our piece's activity to attack in a savage way. Watch this. We have a queen attacking in a brutal way. The two knights join the attack, but these instead of knights look like dinosaurs, right? We're attacking this fork, and our opponent has all their pieces unmoved. Unmoved. The only one that's moved is the queen, and it can't move there either. So what should they do? Stop this check, which wouldn't just be check, but checkmate, since the king couldn't escape thanks to our queen. So the only move that stops it is knight a6, but we can keep attacking, and in fact here we have a pretty brutal move to keep doing so. The move is as follows. We're going to continue with the move d4. What does the move d4 allow us to do? It's very simple, friends, to bring the only piece we're missing into the attack. Now we have both bishops on the same diagonal. The game that I just pulled up as an example continued with bishop e7, but you'll see that this ends in checkmate in an elegant way. Queen takes bishop, queen sacrifice, monumental. Friends, you don't have to give away the queen, but here we have such an advantage in pieces and activity that it's too easy to checkmate even without the queen. Now they must capture with the knight, and watch out because knight f6 will be mate on the next move. The king, if it goes to f8, bishop h6, mate. Fabulous, right? And if the king goes to d8, simply knight takes f7 as checkmate, since the knight is covering the other escape square. Don't tell me that isn't impressive. Well, wait, because the best part of the video is still to come. How wonderful! I'm going to show you how you can be creative with this gambit to win your games. The good thing about the King's Gambit is that it has so many attacks that you can practically invent them if you play with a little logic. For example, we can play bishop c4 directly. The idea of playing knight f3 and our other variations was precisely to prevent the queen from entering through these very weak squares on the king side, right? Because this knight acts as a perfect defender. However, chess teacher, what happens if we allow, for example, with bishop c4 first, the queen to enter here to give us this check? Well, don't worry, because here, although it seems like a very good move, in fact, it really does, we have an extremely strong move, which is king f1. Let me explain. f3, terrible. Why? Because they capture us and we can't recapture, because we'd lose the rook, right? So king f1. Chess teacher, don't give me that nonsense. We just moved the king on our fourth move. Our opponent is attacking. He's coming to threaten checkmate over here. I have serious problems. Relax, friends. Relax, the king is on f8, but we can be creative. I'll show you. For example, d4. Where were you going so fast with this bishop? Now this bishop has to move. For example, knight f3. Where were you going with this queen? Now this queen must move. And as you can see, if she retreats, simply, I'll show you the example, we capture here, and our pieces are, well, dancing in a club, huh? Because of how happy they are. The only way the black pieces have here to try to sustain their attack and their position is to keep defending this pawn. However, now here we have a winning tactical blow. Ah, it's a tactical blow that, if we're creative, will quickly come to mind. Bishop takes f7, a sacrifice that whenever you play the King's Gambit, you should keep in mind. It's obvious that you can't capture this bishop, since knight e5 check would follow and we take the queen. Well, our opponent will see that this sacrifice can't be captured. It's obvious, right? And they'll play, for example, king f8. Great, they played king f8, and then they'll think, well, all that's happened here is that they've won back the extra pawn. No worries, stay calm, because we're going to take advantage of this vulnerable queen. For instance, h3, and the queen is starting to run out of squares. Where can she move, friends? She only has one single square available, and that square is g3. There's no other choice. And so we're going to manage to win this queen in a decisive way. Careful, now they're threatening to capture our bishop. See ya? Why? Because now, if they take the bishop, we no longer have the fork. But we don't care about that at all, because we're going for the queen knight c3, and when they take the bishop, we'll play knight d2, attacking the queen and this pawn with two pieces. Available squares for the queen? She only has one, friends. Which square is it? g6. But now, what happens? Our friends, the knights, who turn into dinosaurs, knight e5, check. And now we're gonna gobble up the queen. As you can see, the King's Gambit is spectacular. If we're creative, we're gonna win many more games. If you like these kinds of videos, give me a thumbs up. If we reach, listen up now, listen friends, challenge. If we reach 400 likes, I'll upload another spectacular way to win with another opening I have planned, okay? So the challenge for you is to reach 400 likes. If you liked this video and want to see many more, subscribe to the channel because there's a new video every day. See you tomorrow, as always, friends, in another video. Bye.